asked earlier, you've quoted this figure of 12 weeks to turn the tide, which is the first time you've said that. You haven't really defined for us what turning the tide means, but I don't know whether perhaps Chris or Sir Patrick might be able to explain what that would look like. Does that mean that we will be well over this and we'll be returning to our normal lives, or does that mean that we will have just hit the peak and we'll be starting to go back to the other side? What does that actually mean?
Well, what I want us to do is to get on top of it. And at the moment, the disease is proceeding in a way that does not seem yet to be responding to our interventions. And I believe that a combination of the measures that we're asking the public to take and better testing, scientific progress will enable us to get on top of it within the next 12 weeks and turn the tide. Now, I cannot stand here and tell you that we will, by the end of June, that we will be on the downward slope. It's possible, but I simply can't say that that's for certain. Of course not. We don't know where we are, and we don't know how long this thing will go on for. But what I can say is that this is going to be finite. We will turn the tide, and I can see how to do it within the next 12 weeks.
We've talked to the Director General around what we can do to get consistency, because that's 2 days out of 7 where we can't really afford to have those testing numbers fall away, and that's something that the Ministry of Health, I know, is looking at.
We needed to be testing more sooner, didn't we? Because all roads lead back to testing in terms of stopping this thing.
And you'll see that we have had the capacity. I can't remember one day off the top of my head where the tests have met the capacity that we've had. So we've got the ability to do more tests than we're currently doing. And so ultimately, that's why you'll hear me continue to encourage that testing. The change that clinicians made yesterday to broaden out the number of people captured will be a critical part of that.
Many GPs will say we just don't have the swabs to do the tests though. They're not being provided them. So why is that the case?
That shouldn't be the case. And that's something that, of course, I will continue to ensure that the Ministry of Health is dealing with that issue. That is just simply a distribution, not a capacity issue. We have the capacity, we have the swabs. We're constantly needing to make sure that they are across the country. What I will remind you is that we have set up in every community now specific testing stations. And that is to make sure that no matter where you are, you should be able to access a test.
Why are some of the laboratories deciding to reject certain swabs they're receiving because they don't fit the criteria if they still have the capacity to run them?
I don't think it will be a case of swabs being rejected. I think what I have seen are reports of where GPs have referred people to those testing clinics. That's something that I have raised with the Director General of Health. Can we get a handle of that inconsistent messaging? Because that's frustrating for someone who goes to get a test, and also it doesn't sit in line with our view that we need to increase testing. My hope actually now is with criteria that we have that is as broad as it is, that some of that should fall away.